that you've come on the show today to tell us about this process, because we must tell these stories. Good morning, Australia. Good evening, America, and welcome to everyone across the planet. How are you all today? Welcome back to the Author and Artist Hour with my gorgeous co-host, Kez Wickham St. George, and I'm Tony Lontis. Now, just a reminder, if you're listening live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, we have Hannah ready and waiting to send you the links from our guest and everything that we talk about today. Now, don't forget to jump onto our socials and follow all of us. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. Kez has one, I have one. I'm not sure if Wendy does, but if she does, I want you to follow it. She does. She's nodding. Excellent. We had talked about with my guest previously about the power of YouTube. As always, there's multiple places where you can place your content that get you out into the global audience. Now, our Welcome to Country today is part of an international movement that acknowledges the special and important role Indigenous communities play in the development of a country's cultural identity. So today I want to respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and broadcast today, that is on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, and pay my respects to the elders past and present and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here watching and listening today. Now, as you know, each and every week, Kez and I jump on this show and talk to other authors. Kez Wickham St. George is a #1 best-selling international author in her own right. She is also an artist, an author's mentor, and she talks to authors across the globe with me each and every week. And today we have a wonderful friend of mine, the delightful Wendy Marquenie. Now, Wendy spent her childhood years enjoying life within a small family unit. Mum, Dad, her sister, and herself. Wendy's childhood years were filled with laughter, the smell of cakes and biscuits baking in the oven. As Wendy grew and expanded her experiences, she reflected on those memories and of the what-ifs. The what-ifs began showing her opportunities, and she discovered that she had the power to change the direction of her life in a moment. We all have that same power. The life that she decided was completely different to what she'd been following. And as a mother, wife, career person, author, and business owner, she felt deeply encouraged to leave a legacy of something to be valued by generations to come. Then in 2016, after an illness, Wendy read a book called You Were Born Rich, written by the late Bob Proctor. And it changed everything for Wendy as she started to be confronted by the questions she asked herself. Not long after this, she decided that young children needed to be empowered by this information as well. And that's why she wrote the Genius books. They empower children to understand thoughts and nurture enthusiasm to create a happy life. The Genius books introduce lovely characters that inspire children and develop deep self-belief and confidence about the possibilities within the world and around their future. This is Wendy's legacy, and I'm so proud to call her a friend of mine and delighted that we get to interview her on the Author and Artist Hour today. Wendy, thank you for being on the show today, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's good to catch up with you again. And this is Genius's first interview.
I know. We were talking pre-show, and I'm like, oh, have you got Genius with you? Because he's such a lovely little character, and that color of blue is really very comforting. But I'm actually going to hand over to Kez now and let her do some of the talking versus me doing all the talking. So over to you, Kez.
Hello, Wendy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kaz.
I love your little genius. He's beautiful.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I need something like that sitting in my office to remind me that we all have a genius inside us.
We do. We do.
Okay. So I'd like to ask you about your extraordinary stories. They're patterned after lives of the ordinary. Can you explain that statement, please?
Well, I have lived just an ordinary life, but my parents were always very encouraging. And I always felt that, we've all got this inner potential.
Mm-hmm.
And even though my parents encouraged it, it wasn't actually until or later on in life that, sometimes one person you meet and they change your thought process. And this person was very, very encouraging and always lived a very positive way of life. I didn't always have that positivity, but through meeting this person and chatting to them, I finally realized that, yes, I didn't do well at school. Like there's quite a few of us that don't do well at school. But it doesn't mean that when you leave school that you cannot create the life that you really desire and want. Mm-hmm. And that's how this person actually helped me to have more self-belief in my abilities and try new things. It's like, I had a conversation with someone the other day about their daughter. The daughter's about 11 years of age. Encourage them to try so many things so they can find out what they really love to do. Because as you get older, if you're doing something you really love, it's really not a job at all.
That's right. I agree wholeheartedly. Now, there's a question for Genius, if Genius can answer me. So you also say that you believe that every child is unique and extraordinary, and your books empower our children to believe in themselves. Is that correct?
That is correct, and Genius would agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
Each child has an inner genius.
I agree. But how do your books empower?
Right, so the books, Genius has friends, and he has 6 other friends, and these friends represent characteristics that we all have in our mind that we don't learn about when we're young. We don't learn about as through our education system. And it's these characteristics and Genius's friends that help the children to imagine and dream so they know that they can achieve and succeed in life.
Excellent. Yeah. I truly do believe that. I really believe that every child has this little lock that it's up to the adults to put the key in the lock and turn it, because the child doesn't know how to. So it's up to the adult. So through your stories, this is how you empower children. It's beautiful.
Yes, and I encourage the parents to read these stories to the children, because quite often the children pick up the information quicker than the adults, and they can actually encourage the adults to learn as well.
That's very, very true. Tony.
Yes. You're on mute, Tony.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't think that's ever happened before. Firsts everywhere. I muted myself. Yay! Oh my goodness. Wendy, seeing that gorgeous Genius sitting there on your shoulder made me curious about the process of developing Genius's character and what he looks like and the colours. Can you walk us through that process?
Yes. While I first started creating the programs, and that's how the characters came about. And I was actually thinking about our mind when I started to do some preliminary drawings of Genius. But Genius came about, and he's round and he's fat, and that's because he collects all of the thoughts from the universe, from everybody. So he collects all the thoughts, and then with his friends, he helps to help the children turn around those thoughts from maybe negative to a positive and send them back out. Now, he wears some sunglasses because in Australia, the sunlight's very, very strong and damaging. He has lovely open arms because he loves to hug and welcome all of the children. He has many colors, all colors of the rainbow, because he loves all the colors. He loves and accepts all nationalities and all colors that we are in this wonderful universe. So, and of course, his big smile, because he's always excited at receiving all of those wonderful positive thoughts from the children.
Oh,
I think it's just gorgeous. I keep looking at it instead of wanting to ask you questions. I keep, that's so gorgeous.
I know he is, isn't he? Well, the first
Yes,
time
he is.
Wendy showed me, I think one of his earlier prototypes, and that was good then. But this version of Genius is just fabulous. Wendy, what was the creative process that thought, I need to develop a persona, i.e. a soft toy, to go with my books and programs?
Well, it was a way, it actually came about because of writing the program. I wanted to write something that the children could understand and relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Children relate to plush toys.
Yes.
And that's how I thought, well, I can create plush toys or the characters that help the children. For example, I have Dream Builder, and he helps the children to imagine and dream. He has a toolkit, like he's a builder, and he has the pencil behind his ear. So he's always trying to help the children dream and create. And then I think my favorite character would be Memory Minder, because she's like the librarian, because she's in charge of all of your memories from the moment you are born to the moment you leave this world. So yes, so that it's to engage the children and to help them understand. Really, that's how it came about.
Wendy, is Genius the only one that you have in physical form? Like all of the rest of the characters live in the books and in the programs. Is Genius the only one in physical form at this stage?
Yes, he's the only plush that I've had made at this point. Yes, so I do want to have the other plush toys made and sit on a nice shelf behind me. So yes, that will happen.
Yes.
I love it. I think he's just beautiful.
He
I
is,
want
isn't
one.
he?
Yeah, I want one. I think we all need a plush toy. So what are the age groups you've written for?
All right, so the lovely Genius book series of books, they are for children from, well, the parents can start reading them from when the children are born up until school age. And then, of course, they have the programs that kick in up to about 11 years of age. Yeah, so that's, yeah.
And
So
Wendy,
we don't go into the teenager side of things?
I have written programs for the teenagers. I have the Positivity Gang, which ranges from 11 to 14 years, and also another one from 15 to 18 years. They have been created. Obviously, they don't have the lovely plush toys. They actually, I show them how to transfer Genius into the picture that we have in our mind, and that draws into the stick. I'm not quite sure if you're aware of the stick person concept, which is so that's how it goes from Genius into the stick person. And then I explain to the children through a series of short videos and activities at the end on explaining basically the same information, but a different language as they get older and older.
Okay. That's absolutely magic. Yeah,
Thank you.
you've actually done something for everybody. I mean, even as a senior adult, I think that just sounds so interesting. I used to read, well, I've always read stories to my kids, but yeah, they were always like, I'd fall asleep before I got to the end because I found them quite boring, but these sound really great.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
They're
And
beautiful.
Genius has his own app, by the way, Genius and his friends app, where everyone, it's a
Oh,
free download, and they can watch the companion videos, which that is attached to the books. So they hover over the picture and the companion video plays, but also the children can sit there and play the genius games, which is all of the characters. They get the children to do little activities that just
oh,
reinforces the
nice.
information once again.
Beautiful. Tony.
Wendy, I just wanted to go back to that bigger vision and mission that sits behind Genius. And I just wanted you to share with the audience what that looks like and why you're passionate and why it's so important.
When I started studying personal development, it just opened up this huge world that I never knew anything about. We were never taught anything about personal development or anything about the mind and how it works when I was at school. So when I first read Bob Proctor's book and got hooked on the material, I went over and attended one of his courses. It was a 6-day event. And then, someone stood up and said, everyone has a book in them. So I thought, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. So that's how the writing started. But then as I got into it and I thought, oh, adults, we should have this material for the younger children so that, and it's repeated and repeated because we learn through repetition. So because all this information is teaching the children, this is how you get to achieve everything that you want in your life. And as I said before, you might not be the best scholar, but you can achieve at any time of your life, like I have. I didn't. It wasn't until I was in my 50s when I wrote my first book. So anyone has that ability to achieve. Especially, these days we've just been through, 2 years of COVID. The children. I've had, parents telling me that their children are suffering from stress and anxiety. Yeah. But if we have them learn about their mind and their thoughts and their emotions, yes, it's good to have emotions, but it's the understanding of the emotions that we can help, Genius and his friends can help turn that around. So I just want children to be able to, even if they read one book, or attend one program and they get out into the real world and they're doing a job that they love and they're in a happy family and creating their success, that's what it's all about. So if just one child would do that, that would be wonderful.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thought process.
Yes, thank you.
Wendy, there's something about the ability to engage with young minds and create patterns in young minds that has a powerful impact on generations and the world at large. I don't know many people that write children's books from your perspective. There's lots of positive books, but your perspective is greater than that. You want to take them from an early age and continue that process right through. And it's not just about the books, it's about the programs that you offer that children can do with you virtually. So you have you can do this globally with your programs. And can you talk us through those programs for
Yes,
the audience?
Yes. Well, as it said, we've got the nine children's books with companion videos. We have Genius and his friends app that's with the books.
Yeah.
Genius has his own curriculum map that's tied in with the books. And then, of course, so he has his own little curriculum map that the teachers can just pick up and read and help the children to understand more. And then when they get to school, perhaps grade 1 or 2, then they can venture into Genius and his friends programs, and then they can venture into the Positivity Gang. So it's all about repetition of the material and going from birth right up until 18 years of age. So yes.
And Wendy, those little programs are like fully online. So, and the children can do them, and they can do them with their parents. And That's how
Yes,
it
they
works?
can. Yes,
Yep.
it's through a Thinkific platform. And
Yes.
what it is, the parents sign the children in. They have a whole year of access. So what they
Yes.
do is they watch 3 to 4 minute video, and then I have an activity at the end. It's not graded or anything. It's just to help reinforce the material. And then when they come back in the next video, I continue on with that. So we introduce, so for example, first one, they might draw a picture of themselves. So if you've got blue eyes, you color in your blue eyes. So then on the next video, I say, how did you go with that drawing? Did you manage to draw a picture of yourself? Put your name at the top. And then we delve into a little bit more information, teaching them a bit more about who they are. You know? And as Genius says in every single book, I am unique, as you can see. There is no one else in the world like me. So we're reinforcing to the children that they have thoughts, but their thoughts are not the same as their friends' thoughts, and that is okay. Even, identical twins don't have the same thoughts.
So it's actually introducing them to the thought. It's introducing them to the concept, rather, that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not actual things, and that you have the capacity to change those thoughts, and that impacts on your life.
That is correct. Everything I say to the children, what makes them unique? So we are so different to all the animals in the kingdom, as we know, because we have a mind that we can use to think. So we have things that makes us unique. We have our DNA that makes us unique. We have our fingerprints that makes us unique. And as I say to the children, you might be one of identical twins, but you still got different fingerprints. And the third thing that makes us unique is that we have a mind that we can think. And I say to the children that everything you see around you first started in someone's mind. They thought of that, and then it was developed into the real world. So the thinking process for them to learn is so very valuable and important.
Absolutely. Kez?
I'm so busy listening. I'm taking this all on board because I have grandchildren, so I'm taking this all on board.
I bought Wendy's books for my grandson. I don't think Genius was around when I bought them, but I'm looking at Genius today and going, oh, I think I need to get Genius as well.
Yes, he's a lovable little fellow. I've been actually going around to a few of the kindies at the moment and doing readings, and at the end I say, would you like to have a hug of Genius? Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So I believe that your stories rhyme.
Yes, they do. When I was actually I was over in the UK when I wrote the 9 books. And I said to my cousin who has grandchildren, I said, what do they like to read? What turns them on the most? And she was telling me about a series that they have over in the UK that's very successful. So I thought, oh, okay, rhyming books. That makes you can put it into like a sing song. It has to be a certain pattern, and you put it into a sing song, which makes it easier for the children to learn. For example, I am unique. As you can see, there is no one else in the world like me. So it's easier for them to understand and learn.
Yeah, I remember when my 2 little girls, they're now big girls, they're married, but there was a song out called Hands, Shoulders, Knees and Toes.
Yes.
And we had black and white TV, and they used to sing it with me every morning. And that was our exercise routine as well. So we used to go through it, and I can just see the kids listening to your little song and rhyming with your books. It's just wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, and that's how we learn from a young age. You remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do. You do. Even I remember it because it was so much fun. Yeah, it was really fun. And if we didn't do it, either mum or dad, were busy, or mum wasn't well or something like that. It was very rare, but yeah, just the rhyming actually, as a school teacher from the past, the rhyming actually belongs to what they call rote. And so, yeah, it's very learnable. It just stays in your brain. I mean, I can still remember that song even now.
That's correct. I remember things from primary school. 1,
Yes.
2, buckle my shoe.
That's right.
Even when my sister was young, Romper Room was on. There's
Yes.
a bear in there. So
Yeah.
all these things you just remember. It's easy.
While you were doing that, actually, Janice's hand was waving at me.
It is too. Genius, well done. Performing outstandingly on this interview.
Outstanding interview. Yes. Yeah. So, what was the time in your life when this all clicked into place for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when I started on the journey of personal development, I really didn't know where it was going to go. But the minute that I decided to do something for children and to help children, it seemed to all fit into place. Once I developed Genius, the drawing, then the other drawings sort of came along. I knew what I wanted to have in the drawings and in the programs. And initially, I did them all myself. I'm not a drawer, but I like to dabble. And then, of course, I had someone do them up a little bit better. But the drawing is, basically the same. So once I had the idea of what the type of character that I want, what characteristics in the character. For example, I've got a robot, Reason Bots. He helps the children with their reasoning, yes or no.
Yeah.
And he's got these big, long arms. So I just thought, I wanted something for the children. So when they make a decision, because it's another thing we never learn at school is to make decisions. What happens when you get excited and you've made a decision? Well, you dance around, you clap and you sing and you fling your arms about. So it's just those little things that helped create the characters. And it just all seemed to fit into place. When I was over in the UK on holiday, the whole 9 books, I wrote the whole 9 books in 8 weeks.
Wow.
It just sort of all clicked in. And I know people say, that's unbelievable, but that's how it happened. The programs obviously didn't work the same way because I developed the programs and then had to put it into video form. But with the books, it just all flowed out. It was absolutely wonderful.
Fabulous.
It's
I'm
so
just
good.
in awe of you. I think what you're doing is absolutely magic. Yeah. Tony.
It's wonderful to hear about the author process from so many perspectives, because each author and their process is a little bit different, and it's wonderful to know that the series just flowed so effortlessly, which means that it is meant to be and in being. One of the other things that I wanted to ask you about is, did you tell me that there was a board game with Genius?
It was originally a board game, but my developers put it into the Genius and His Friends app. So down the track, I still would like the board game to be developed, but they actually took that idea and
put it into the
from
app.
the game into the app, because children, they're so familiar with apps these days.
Yeah. Wendy, if parents listening want to get the app, they just type in Genius app?
They type in Genius and His Friends app.
Genius and His Friends app. All right.
Yes.
We'll make sure that we put that in the notes that go with this show as well, because I'm sure that there will be lots of parents listening that would find Genius and His Friends helpful for their own kids. And yes, it's interesting to watch my grandson be so completely okay with technology. Like, he knows his way around a phone and an iPad like there's no tomorrow. His mum's very strict with his screen time, and he's only allowed to have certain amounts of time at certain points in the day. Just so I'm in awe of the fact that that's their reality. They don't know anything different. Whereas for you and I and Kez, we've had to learn all this stuff as we go along, and it's not always been the easiest.
Not always successful.
I know. But for him, he just sits there with his iPad, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to get that app for him as well to go with his books.
You want to hear a funny story? When
Yes.
the developer sent me Genius and his friends app, I had difficulty with it. I'm thinking, now what do I do here? I don't know. But the young ones, because they're used to apps, they'll just flick here and scroll there, they're just doing all that. And I'm just going, oh, okay.
So
Yes.
it's relatively easy for them, isn't it?
It is easy for them, yes, because they're used to the technology. They're used to, and it is clear on what they have to do. It's just that I'm not familiar with playing games on an app, and I had to really think about it because we didn't have technology like that when I was young. They grow up with it. So you just give them a phone and they can work their way around the phone.
They can indeed. It's rather scary and terrifying. I remember reading something recently about this generation. So our generation being a bridging generation, we will be the last and most unique generation in that we remember what it was like before technology. So for all of us, we can clearly remember the first computers and the first technology, the first mobile phones, the first of the internet. Whereas generations following us, it's always been there. They don't know what it's like pre-digital electronic age because they've only known what it is. So I think that's in recognizing uniqueness. I think that we are all in a very unique position where we can still remember what it was like and what was and what will be. I'm curious, Wendy, that the thought just occurred to me then, oh my goodness, you could have holograms of Genius popping up out of the app eventually. What sort of things have you thought about for the future?
Well, we want to do, because the books are only in like a hardcover at the moment, I want them to be used digitally. So to do that, you have to actually have some sort of button or some sort of thing on the iPad so that it can brings out the companion videos. The companion videos, I would like to go into augmented reality. So Genius would really, and his friends would really come out into life. So that is the next thing that is there ready and waiting to sort of develop. But in saying that, Genius, he has working on the next book, which is Reader's Theatre book. And now we're trying to bring the children back to playing games other than on the iPad or the iPhone. So Genius is introducing children to, have conversations with, or parents to have conversations with their children. And he will have templates of building a kite and making jelly and get them outside and having a play and having a talk, a conversation. So even though we've got the app and that will be developed further, we do want to get children back outside to fly a kite. Do skipping, hopscotch. He does his own little hopscotch game. Remember the hopscotch at school? It was so much fun.
So is flying a kite.
Yes. So, the children need to have it all. They can have the technology, but not have it all the time. Go outside and have some physical activity as well.
Speaking of kids and physical activity and hopscotch, do you girls remember the games we used to play with those big, long, stretchy rubber bands?
Yes, elastic.
What was it called?
Elastic.
Was it just called elastic?
Elastic.
Was it?
Yeah.
We called it elastic in New Zealand. Elastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just a long, stretchy piece of elastic that we played with, and you did like crossover thingies and jumping and all the rest of it. I wonder if kids these days still do that.
I don't think so.
No.
I haven't seen it. I think they might do a bit of skipping. We used to do skipping at school. But hula hoops, I don't know whether they do that at school, but the elastic, we played it all the time.
For every lunch hour for most of primary school, it occupied our time. And you think about that now and think, well, that was a pretty inexpensive, wonderful, creative way to keep us busy during lunch hour, wasn't it?
It
What
was.
about cat in the cradle using wool or string with your hands? We used to
Yes.
play that all the time. Cat in the cradle.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Yes,
yes.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yo-yos was another
And
thing.
while we had the pandemic on, I've got young neighbours each side. Now they brought their toys over, soft little toys over, and would put them on the front lawn, and they would all talk to me because I was behind the screen door. I couldn't get out to associate with them because I normally have a lot to do with them. But I taught them how to play hopscotch. So I showed their mums on our driveway. So I had about 6 little ones, and they were all from 3 to 6, and all holding their little toys, all playing hopscotch. It's so important that we get the kids to relate their feelings
Yes.
to their emotions, and then get them out in the fresh air to run around and release those emotions.
Most definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Digressing a little bit away from Genius, because that's not the only books you've written. It actually started with another book called Big Girls Pants. And I'm just wondering if you can quickly tell us about that book.
Well, when I attended the Matrix event in Toronto, actually the first book came out was How to Change Your Life in 6 Days. And that was like a diary entry of the 6-day event. And then when I came home, caught up with some friends who actually went to a personal development person down in Sydney, well known. I won't mention his name, but well known. They came back and I said, oh, well, how are they? Because I had a load of exercises and things to follow through. How's it all going? No. I said, why not? So then that prompted me, why are people not coming back from conferences? Because yes, at a conference you get all G'd up.
Yes.
Oh yes, I'll do this and I'll do that. But when you get home, you've got no one there to sort of on your back saying, have you done this and have you done that, and keep you accountable. So that's when I wrote Big Girls Pants. It's all about when you come home from a conference, you actually need to sit down and follow through with the work. And it is difficult, but you've got to pull up those big girls' pants and get it done. If you want to achieve something, if you have a goal that you want to achieve, then that's the work you've got to put in. So that's how that came about.
That's wonderful.
Well done.
Yeah, I did read that on your website, how that happened. I just thought, wow, we all do need to be accountable. We all do need a person at the back of us saying, have you done this? And even though it makes you cross sometimes because you think I'm too busy, you do need to be accountable for your actions. Yes,
you do. If you want to achieve anything, and that's why one of the characters, persistent photographer, holds up that picture of what you want to achieve, and he makes sure that you continue on and believe that you can achieve it. Keep persisting, and you might. The children these days at school, they have this terrible thing about failing. But sometimes you need to fail in order to learn to actually keep going.
right.
And you're really only a failure when you stop trying.
That's right. Dead fine.
Absolutely
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
And I really do hope that we are teaching our children these elements in greater detail going forward, so that they're understanding their thoughts, understanding their emotions. And I have to say, my daughter is so good at doing this with our grandson, and she will make him stop in his tracks, and he'll be 6 in July, and she asks him, what are you feeling? What's going on in your head? Can you tell mummy why you're cranky, etc., etc. Now, sometimes that's just plain old childhood. He might be hangry, for instance, because when he doesn't get food, he gets a bit hangry because he's a growing boy. But I've actually seen from my own parenting experience, where we sort of never did any of that work, I've seen the results of her asking him and consciously going, tell me what you're feeling, tell me why you're upset, or tell me what's going on in your head. And he's actually really good at doing that. And and reflecting on my own parenting, I don't think I ever did that, because it wasn't understood that children had those capacities. But if they grow up understanding what
Yes.
thoughts are, and someone consciously and actively engages with them to say, okay, so you're upset, tell me about what you're feeling, why you're upset. And it might be just as simple as, Poppy threw away my worms. which was the result of one little tantrum a few years ago. He was upset and cranky because Poppy inadvertently threw away his worms, which adults, we're kind of not thinking about worms and how important worms are in the scheme of a 4-year-old's life. But he was upset, and once he could actually tell his mum why he was upset and why there was this ensuing tantrum, it's like, and then you can go, okay, well, let's go find some more worms and put them back in the container, and you'll have worms again.
Yes.
Unfortunately, though, sometimes it's, but I wanted those worms. And we're like, well, those worms have gone to live under the orange tree, so they're happy there. We don't want to disturb them. Let's go and find some other words. And I can't remember interacting with my own children in that way, Wendy. So I guess my question is, have you seen an evolution in terms of parenting of children, and particularly young children?
Well, I must admit, we didn't actually discuss a lot about emotions when I was at school. I think somehow with the pandemic over the last couple of years, it has enabled children being at home and homeschooled. It has enabled the parents to associate, well, to be with their children a little bit more. And yes, during such times we were allowed to go out for a walk. I did see quite a lot of parents out there actually flying kites or kicking a ball with their children. But I think I'd like to encourage all of the parents today to keep having conversations and keep asking those questions, because the children, some of them are frustrated and they're anxious, and they don't quite understand what's been happening in the last couple of years. Start having those conversations like your daughter is doing to your grandchild. Have the conversation with them and get them to, it's an interaction, because children today, they're all the time on the computer. They don't have a lot of conversation, and we don't want to lose that. We want to get them back into having the conversations again, so that they can, go out into the real world and associate with other people and know how to behave. So I encourage the parents to have those conversations these days, especially now with we're getting back to normal life. So yes, start having conversations, because that's the best way that you learn about your child. It's the best way you actually learn about yourself as well.
I agree.
And it's powerful stuff, Wendy, because if, hypothetically, imagine if the parent of the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, had actually spent time talking to him about bullying and the impacts of bullying. We wouldn't have a war in Ukraine, would we?
No, we wouldn't. In fact, the creation of Genius and all of his characters is all about teaching the children critical thinking. So if we go back, Aristotle said critical thinking is the means by which we know. So if we teach our children there are consequences for actions, if we teach the children that if you want to attain something, you sit down and you gather the information, you work out what criteria you need to have in order to achieve that you're aiming for. Yes, and also critical thinking helps children to become more confident and self-belief. When a child is confident, they are less likely to succumb to the likes of bullying and all of that. So you've got to actually sit down and think, what was Putin thinking about? What was his childhood like? Was he bullied and now he's carrying it on? That sort of thing. So it's very important to teach the children.
The biggest, I think the best time for me was I used to attend a children's fair, and as an author, and there was a kite maker there, and watching him on stage, he would invite one parent and one child up, like in groups up to the stage to make their own kites. The conversation became, and it was normally dad and son. Now, sometimes you get a daughter up there. The conversations going on between dad and son, or dad and daughter, was amazing. And then watching them fly the kite afterwards, having the joy, having the conversation, having the camaraderie between the two of them. You sit back and you watch. That's the way to do it. That is just the way to do it. Do things together. Same as your books and your apps are going to do. And sometimes children like teaching adults. I found that with my grandchildren. They like to show me what to do. And I think, well, I already know, but they're going to show me. And I just sit back and enjoy it. I really do.
Yes. Have the conversation, start the conversation. It takes you to places that you wouldn't have thought of. So you get to know your children, the children get to know you and what you're about. So it's wonderful. It starts with the conversation.
That's right, dead right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's what your books are all about, isn't it, Wendy? Your books are all about having that conversation.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. Let's get back to basics.
Yes, well, that's going to be a hard one.
I mean, now's a good time. Now's never been a better time to get to know your children and have that conversation. Children are wonderful. I can remember when I started doing the readings at the kindy, I thought, oh, my goodness, 3-year-olds. It took me back because my children are in their 30s now. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, do I remember when my child was 3? And it can be quite daunting when you go into a classroom of 3-year-olds. What are they going to ask? Ooh. But no, you just have a conversation, as if I used to always, treat my children. I used to have conversations with them as if they were adults. So it's no different in that classroom situation. But yes, it did take me back.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, I find your books absolutely. I have got one and I've read one, and I just thought, what a great way to start a conversation with your child. And sometimes it's having the child show you about the app, because I haven't got clues that, so when I must would go and ask my next door neighbour, she's got young kids as well, how do you work the app? Because they love to show you. And I think that's what the parents should be allowing more and more, is that I think the younger ones know more about technology than what we do.
Definitely. And I proved that when I got the app.
What about a movie, Wendy? Have you ever thought about making a movie with your plushies?
Funny you should say that, Kez. I'm actually in the middle of writing a script for a Disney type movie, and I'm introducing another character into the movie. Wow. So I am so excited. I'm halfway through, and I get inspiration all the time that comes in. Not every day, but it might be once a week. Oh yes, I should put that in the movie. So it's in the process. I'd love to have that all finished in the next couple of months, and maybe then start on another journey about this genius and his friends meet Bernie Bright movie.
Yeah. If you need to know a movie producer, I have one up my sleeve for you. If you want a movie producer. Oh, that's
wonderful. Thank you. I will reach out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the things that we solve on this program each and every week. I was just about to ask Wendy, tell me about some of the things that you have in the pipeline and for the future. Well, I think you've already answered part of that question. Anything else?
No, we've got the Reader's Theatre book that will be coming out later in the year, and of course the Disney movie, and then the AR of Genius and his friends to associate with the digital version of the book. So yes, lots of exciting things happening.
Yes.
Before we run out of time, Wendy, I want you to tell the audience the places that they can engage with you, the places that they can get the book, remind them the name of the app and where they can get it, and anything else so that the parents listening can connect on behalf of their kids.
Yes, of course. I have a website called innergeniusglobal.com. On the website, you can purchase the book. You can download the Genius and His Friends app. I have the Genius and His Friends program for children up to 11 years of age. That is through a Thinkific platform. Genius and His Friends book are also available on Amazon and Ingram Spark. But go to the website, innergeniusglobal.com. You'll find everything there that you need, or reach out to me at hello@innergeniusglobal.com.
And Wendy, you love answering questions from parents about Genius and His Friends, and you love interacting with them in terms of the learning and education that they get for their kids by buying the books or participating in the programs. And I remember ages ago you having a conversation with me around the fact that that kids could actually, the parents just need to log them in, and then they can actually, it's self-directed. So even at those younger ages, they can take themselves through the learnings from Inner Genius and His Friends without too much adult supervision or need to interact. But you prompt them at the end to go and talk to mum and dad, don't you?
Yes, that is through innergeniusglobal.thinkific.com. So if you put up Thinkific and Inner Genius Global, you will find Genius and His Friends programs there, which are the interactive videos with the activities at the back. I mean, Genius is also on Facebook, and he's also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and he has started his own YouTube channel, but we're yet to put a few more videos up there. But he's also got his Genius and Friends YouTube channel. So we're all on social media, so you can reach out to me or Genius and His Friends on all the social media platforms, and also on my website. Just send me an email, and I will get back to you and answer any of your questions.
Quickly, before we run out of time, Wendy, my curious brain is wondering how you converted children's books into the screenplay that you're writing in preparation for the movie.
The Reader's Theatre book. Okay, so the Reader's Theatre book is it's introducing children to get outside and play. So yes, we do, for example, we have a template for hopscotch, and then one of the characters is having a bit of a problem. The balance isn't quite right, so the other characters are offering help and assistance. So these little things that I twist into the reason behind the hopscotch game. When they go and fly the kite out in the park, when they come back, they're all discussing how they're feeling today, how they're coping with not being able to see their friends and not having to go to school. So once again, we're prompting that conversation to get them to open up about their feelings and to understand that it's okay. Sometimes even us adults, we're down, sometimes we're having a bad day, but that's perfectly normal, because we run in a cycle. We're up and then we're down and up and down. So it's quite normal. I think children today, they think, I shouldn't be experiencing these emotions and feelings, but yes, you do. And you get a lot of the emotions and feelings from your friends. So if your friends are happy and excited, well, then that sort of rubs off because of that vibration from one to another. So it's just little things that we're introducing into the Reader's Theatre. And the one thing that Reader's Theatre is really good is that the children get a chance to act out the play. So they can become the character, they can act out. So that, so then, of course, they make up their own props and do the whole lot. So it's like a theatre. They organise the theatre of the book. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful.
And then, Wendy, the conversion of the books to the script for the movie, that must be quite a big process, because obviously you're taking children's books with limited words and putting it into a much bigger script. Yes. Is that challenging, or is it just really free-flowing like the books have been for you?
Well, it's really funny when you're even writing the programs. there is a lot of information that you write down, and it's just a matter of going over and saying, okay, yes, I discussed this in this program, or that would be a good thing for the book. Yes, it wasn't as easy, I must admit, as writing the Genius book series in rhyme form. It was difficult. I've never written for Reader's Theatre before, so you have a narrator, so you've got to actually describe the scene and what's happening, and then introduce the particular topic that you're trying to discuss at that time. But no, it's all a very interesting system, and I love it. I just love sitting down and writing and describing things for the children, so that it's entertaining for them. It's like the movie. I have a chuckle when I'm writing something, thinking, oh yeah, we could write this. This will be funny for the children. And you have a chuckle to yourself. Oh yeah, that's fun. If a tree comes to life and opens up his eyes and swings the branch and knocks someone else on the back of the head type thing, it's all very funny. So yes, enjoyable process.
Wendy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We are completely out of time yet again. I don't know where the time goes when we're discussing books, and in particular children's books. Congratulations on the concept and the idea around Inner Genius. He is a beautiful physical attraction for children, and so lovely and colourful, and what a great positive role for children to have. Kez, thank you once again for co-hosting the show with me. Don't forget, audience, please connect with Inner Genius Global. Find out all about Genius and his wonderful friends, and furthermore, connect with Wendy. She loves to talk to you about the education of your kids around thoughts, perceptions, and actions. And that, my friends, is your lot for this week. We will be back again next week.
Bye-bye.
And join us for another show then. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Kez. Bye for now.
Thank you, Genius. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Tony. Bye.
Bye.
I'm so grateful that you've come on the show today to tell us about this process, because we must tell these stories. We